So this is a shoot that I did a few years ago in New Orleans, and it was for the AHLA, American Hotel and Lodging Association. And anyway, it was a really nice project to work on. So it was about a young lady who worked on a program where she learned how to become a chef. And she ends up working at the Sheraton in New Orleans, and quite a cool project. Anyway, this project was done. We just had a few days to film this thing. This is practically one man band. So I did the camera work, the audio, the lighting, and I had a producer working with me, and that was about it. So very, very minimal. But I was really happy with the way that it turned out. And like usual, I just want to go back. I want to go in and show you kind of how we did it, how we put things together, and what everything looked like. So here I go. All right, so first, just starting off, I'm just going to go over the equipment. You guys seem to really like hearing about this. So this is the interviews were done with the Area Mira, and it was shot at 2398 log profile with Zeiss Milvus cinemated lenses. And I've used these lenses for quite a while. The Milvus lenses, I've got a 35, 50, 85, and then I've got a 21 and a 15, and those are actually Zeiss Classics, but they're very similar. And sometimes, a lens like a Milvus, it has a new name, but it's not necessarily new glass. It's just the same glass in a new housing. So the Classics and the Milvus, some of them were new, some of them weren't. The 35 is a great lens. It's a 1.4, so super, super fast. And anyway, then also I used the Blackmagic Pocket 4K for B-roll. Used a Metabones adapter so I could use the same Zeiss lenses for the B-roll. And some of it I shot handheld, and some of it I shot with a gimbal, and just used a was it the Ronin 2S, I think, at the time. So anyway, that's the setup for the cameras, and then you can kind of see here, and then just right here, here's a quick picture of the this is going to be of the scene that you can see here below. I'll move into, obviously, so you can see it better. And this was right here, the Amira. You see a little bit of a light right here, and you see these big windows that are going to come into play. Microphone just boomed over. I think I laved them as well. Usually, if I'm doing it by myself, I do put a lav. I try and hide it and do a boom. I always like to have double audio, especially because when you have a lav on, they might tap their chest or whatever. So you want to make sure that you have some kind of double audio. Always helps out. Sorry for the contrasty dark picture, but I wasn't trying to win any awards with that photo. Let's move it down. So let's go. We're going to go over here, and this is actually, so this is that same space. And let me move it over just a little bit here so you can kind of see it a little bit better. And I'm going to just kind of go through and describe the setup here. So this gentleman already had I just really liked him. He was really well dressed. I liked his his face. He's got a really, really great face. And we were filming, this was actually at the Sheraton Hotel. They had a hotel room. It was a good sized room. But to me, this was kind of the best setting that I could find in the space. You don't always get the most attractive settings, even in a hotel. And so what I really wanted to do first is just add some texture and some interest to the scene. So that's what you can kind of see with all this stuff dressed up here. So obviously you see this lattice work, and this lattice work was already there. And I just opened up the lattice and put it into the frame. And what's kind of cool is, so this lattice is going onto here, and this lamp was it's a glass. This is all made out of glass, and it was taking in the light and the lattice work, and it just recreates the pattern. So you had this nice kind of pattern here, same pattern right here, and it's just a little bit of texture. It was just something simple to do. I experimented with putting some light into this, but to be honest, it didn't look very convincing. And I just wasn't really buying it. So I just was using the lampshade more as a texture. So you can see there's really nothing else that's being done. And then as far as the gentleman here, you can see that the light naturally is playing in and coming into him right here. I had a little bit of a bounce on this side. I like to use a silver reflector, especially when there's something with a person with a little bit darker skin. The silver gives me a little bit more pop. And the nice thing is that his skin right here is really picking up on that reflector, and it gives you a good contrast ratio. So again, you have this well lit here, you have this here. And then although you have a lot of times I might prefer to have, see this area here is a little bit lighter in the background as opposed to this on him. There is some good separation between them. And the other thing again is we have these textures. So this was some silver that was that was kind of embedded in the glass in this cabinet back behind. It's not overbearing. It's not too much to take away, but it's giving you something again, just some texture, some interest. But remember, the main focus always is your subject. You want to make sure you're not distracting the viewer from anything. If anything, you want to draw. You want to draw your face, or you want to draw your eyes. I mean, to the subject. So again, you've got these louvers are kind of pointed to him, right? You've got these right here are pointed to him. So you have this all kind of dimensionality is going towards him, and this is just kind of playing as a texture, but it's not really a big distraction, and that's the thing that you need to watch out for. The other thing I really was happy with was just that there was a nice kind of color palette as well. We had these neutral walls. I don't really like neutral walls generally. That's why I try and, do something with them. We're shooting into the corner, so you get a little bit of depth of shade right into there. And then you've got some light, obviously, coming from the windows. And then the same thing over here, you've got this nice sense of color. This gray is very nice and complementary to the gray on his suit. And the blue in his shirt is also kind of grayish blue right there. So again, everything just kind of worked out in that kind of scenario. Sorry for the subtitles; they're actually burned into the video, so there's no way for me to get those out of there. But anyway, that's kind of what this one setup was like, and we actually filmed two people in this setting, and just to make a differentiator between them, I changed the angle and pointed a little bit more this direction. We took these shutters and we closed them for that one. Still had them in the shot, but they were closed that time, just to give it a little bit of a variety. But again, in a situation like this, you're very limited on your time, and obviously with completely zero crew except for one person, you've got to know how to work quick and get it figured out, because there's just not a whole lot of time for you to do a whole lot. So moving on, we're going to go over to this one right here, and this is actually a close-up version of the shot. I did a wide of this as well, but I really like the close-up a lot. It really, to me, it really resonated. And sometimes when you're doing an interview, a lot of times people want two cameras, or they want you to maybe zoom in and out. I prefer to use primes on interviews because I really like the ability to go shallow if I want to, and use the background as a texture. But in this situation, I really felt like this is a nice framing. And this was shot with an 85 lens, a Zeiss Milvis 85 lens on the Amira. And, again, right here, we didn't have a whole lot of variety of places to work with. But what I really did like was I liked the windows. It gives you some motivation for the lighting that's on the person. I did light it, and I had I'm guessing I like my Amaran with a large softbox that was shining on, just to aid the natural light. The natural light can't always be relied upon, and sometimes you have to be really close to the window to make it work. And then the background here, uh, I just wanted, again, some more texture. I like the contrast of light between this lady's hair and then the background. And there's just really helps with the separation. And also it just kind of draws you more to her. She's really standing out in this framing. She had this kind of uh, patterned shawl that she wanted to wear, and I don't think she was comfortable with the shirt that she had on underneath, so she kind of wrapped this around. But I don't think it's a distraction. I think it worked out pretty well. I really liked her glasses; they looked really nice. And obviously, glasses can be an issue. You can see a little bit of reflection right down in here, and there's a little bit of reflection right there. These glasses weren't too much of an issue with the light that we had. The tricks usually that I do for that, you can actually see on here, I use a little bit, one of my tricks is you see her glasses right here are above the ear. And what you want to do is you want to have the glasses, and you can see me do it, you just kind of point the glasses down a little bit. So they're actually kind of angled off the bridge of her nose, and it gives kind of a forward angle. So they're going to be, these glasses here, they're kind of pointing down just a hair. I actually have arrows. Why don't I just use an arrow? There we go. Glasses are pointing down. That's what we're doing. And then, so you want to push up. Whoop, nope, I did it wrong. You want to push up. You want to push up right there on the ears to do that. The other trick is just to take your key light and take it and raise it up a little bit higher. And that's not always easy to do. And sometimes you raise it up too high and you get too much light in the hair, and it just doesn't really play that well. And then, a lot of times I just kind of think, especially in a documentary, you're kind of stuck with things, right? I mean, in the real world, you're going to have reflections on glasses. So as long as it doesn't, to me, my big thing is the pupils. As long as I can see their eyes and their eyeballs, I'm not as worried about a little bit of reflection, in the glasses, as long as this stays mostly clear on the eyes. That's the big thing. Now, some people will offer to take off their glasses for an interview, and I think that's fine. But to me, these glasses are part of her character, and I really like the way that the glasses look on her. And I would hate to take away this thing, because these are clearly, she really likes these glasses. They are certainly an accessory, and to me, these accessories help define who the person is that's being interviewed. So anyway, but again, that was just kind of a nice soft light coming in. And if, and the highlights right there are working pretty well. Again, you're looking at a color contrast where you're kind of dividing the face, and you can kind of see that there's a good ratio in the light and in the dark areas right there. All right, so I'm going to move on, and we're going to go to this right here is one of two shots that I've got. These were B-roll shots. And so it's kind of funny. I mean, the Blackmagic cameras, I think Blackmagic's color science is really pleasing and really nice. And you can see this is actually a pretty warm looking shot. In contrast to, excuse me, I'm going to go back. In contrast to this isn't as warm as this immediately to be seen. And the woman whose back is to us is the same woman that's from the interview. These scenes, I don't remember if they were right on top of each other or not, but it doesn't really matter. But the thing is the Blackmagic has a nice color science. It has a good latitude as well. The pocket cameras are great cameras, and I can't believe, as inexpensive as they are, how well they shoot. And they're just such pleasing cameras as far as the imagery, and also easy to use. I mean, the menu system, it's crazy good. I really like it. So anyway, there's my shout out to Blackmagic. Really like those cameras a lot. Anyway, moving on in this, this was pretty much just the natural light that was in the location. So clearly we have the sun coming in here. Pretty good hot spot right there. Would I have wanted to tone that down? Maybe so. And I could put some drapery here, maybe. But again, I didn't have the time or the access to get that accomplished. I like shooting into the windows a little bit. I don't mind having some highlights here. I believe I probably put a Pro Mist filter on as well, so you can see there's a little bit of softness on her face and a little bit of a glow that's coming like off of her chin and whatnot. And that's what I really like too, is like these tables were just kind of like a light, like a cream kind of color. And so what you get is this bounce up into her chin right here. Man, oh, there we go. Haha, got it. So you see the bounce coming onto her chin right there, and also right there. And I think those are really kind of nice. I like that uplighting sometimes. And also here you see there's a nice, whoop, there we go. There's a nice rim light right there on her hand. And also we're getting some rim light on the face. Now I'm overdoing the arrows. All right, I'm going to go back to my squiggly lines. I like the squiggles sometimes. But anyway, there was a nice ambient light in the room. A lot of windows, and it's an old building, so there were windows all around. Probably was some kind of a factory at some point or whatever. Anyway, and moving on to our last shot, which is the front shot of the same thing that you just saw. So when I'm doing B-roll like this, I'm trying to build a story as quickly as I can, and different angles, so that when it's being edited, there's a story, there's places to edit back and forth too. Most likely on the day, I probably shot this one first and got this one set up, and then I went and I shot from that last scene, shot over the shoulder, and then I know I shot another one over this shoulder. There was a wall on this side that didn't have any windows, so it wasn't as interesting to shoot into. So I would have probably gone a little bit behind her and shot down into here, and then maybe a little bit more forward from this angle to get a tighter shot, so that you have this background to work with instead. Once again, you see clearly that she's riding on something. It's a little bit hot down here, a little bit overblown, but not by much. And it's not something that to me is bothersome. It's not out of the range of something that's workable. This was all shot in. This was shot, I believe, ProRes as well on the Blackmagic, but it was shot in a flat profile. So you have some room to work with in post, as long as you make sure your balances are correct. I was obviously exposing for them and their skin, and that's what I worked with. Once again, the really nice. I'm going to go back to my arrows. The really nice thing here is that you've got the. I'm going to figure this out. You got the nice uplighting right there. You got nice uplighting right there. You got uplighting going on, and that uplighting just gives it kind of an ethereal look to me, which is really nice, especially considering this woman. This woman is teaching. This is the subject of the documentary. A little bit about cooking techniques or whatever. Just kind of a classroom setting. The other, again, just to note that there is some diffusion. So black pro mist is what I used on here, just to give it a little bit of softness, and it just gives it kind of a nice look. So her face got a nice kind of glow to it. Hers has got a nice glow to it, and the overall scene is nice. You can also see the nice thing with the exposure is you can actually look out the windows a little bit, and it's not completely lost. And that's mainly because the sun was coming from, from this side and not from behind. So you're going to get that ability. And this is late afternoon, so the sun's already starting to come down a little bit. It's not as intense as it would be otherwise. Anyway, that's the kind of the breakdown of these sections. Let me know if you like what you saw. If you have any questions about this particular thing that I shot, or documentaries in general, or how I film things and how I put things together, that's what I'm here to try and answer for you guys. So I appreciate it. Thanks.